I'd like to know why the credit card industry is not an issue in this current presidential campaign. It is the biggest screw job economically on the planet. Pick a card, any card, suckers. Chances are you're going to be screwed. As wise guy men used to say about women, you can't live with them and you can't live without them. Everybody has credit cards practically in this country today, even if they're unemployed. Even street people have credit cards. Wouldn't surprise me if people in jail had credit cards. Credit cards are ubiquitous. They have become a necessity of modern life, for better and for worse. Well, it starts out being for better. Credit cards may seem to replace money. You get offers for credit cards in the mail all the time. I myself have accumulated scores and hundreds of these things. It's very, very easy to get a credit card. It's very, very easy to use a credit card. It's very, very easy to run up giant debts on a credit card. It's very, very easy to get yourself in deep, dark duty with credit cards. So first they offer you very low interest rates, sometimes zero interest rates, for 6 months, for a year, for 2 years. They invite you to transfer debt from your other credit cards, which seem to be charging you higher interest rates, to their credit card, whether it be a MasterCard or a Visa card. These are the two chief outfits, and every bank issues these things. Sports teams issue them. They're tie-ins with airline cards. They're tie-ins with everything you can think of, all to get you to borrow money at what seems like no interest half the time on their cards. Sounds real good, doesn't it? Now, you may be well asking yourself, why does anybody want to lend me money at 0% for a year? Why does anybody want to lend me money at minimal interest rates? Well, as they say, the devil is in the details. And the details are in the fine print on the back of the application. Now, in the fine print on the back of all of these credit cards, there are various default interest rates, which they can charge you much higher interest, up to 35 or 39% a year, if you are late on one little payment. And it gets even worse than that, because the credit agencies keep your FICO scores, and the FICO scores have the record of any place you've been late on any one of the credit cards you have, and they can automatically raise your interest rate from 0, in theory as high as 39%, on any of your cards if you're late on any of your cards. But if you think that's the worst of it, you're dead wrong, because buried in the really small fine print, it says that the credit card company can change your interest rate at any time for any reason of their choosing without offering you a single explanation. Now, even a mafia loan shark, who may break your kneecaps if you don't pay up when you're supposed to, or raise the rate when you're late, does not offer you a deal like that. This is tantamount to theft, and it's quite legal if you sign this piece of paper. What's more, when you apply for the thing in the first place, there's more fine print that says if they don't like your credit rating, they don't have to give you the 0% if you've already transferred a balance. They can just stick it on the 39% or the 22% or again, whatever they damn well please to charge you in interest. Well, you think that might be greedy enough, but they got another scam on top of all this, which is at the top of every credit card statement you get, there's a little tiny box that you can cross to pay a little less than 1% a month on your total balance as a kind of insurance. That's over 10% extra interest a year to buy this insurance. Now, what does it insure? It ensures if something that happens to you, you don't have to accumulate more interest while you can't pay the credit card. It does not release you from the debt. What it does is guarantee that they are insured to eventually get their money, the credit card companies, and you are paying 10% a year on your balance to insure them. This horrendous situation, which is driving hundreds of millions of Americans into impossible debt, cries out for some simple and obvious federal congressional legislation. Number one, the law should be changed to say that under no circumstances can credit card companies change the interest on debt you have already acquired with them. They may charge late charges, they may charge service charges once per month when you're late, but the law should say that when you sign a contract to pay a certain interest rate on a debt that you have already accumulated, that cannot be raised for any reason whatsoever. Even the mafia doesn't do stuff like that. This is an obvious piece of legislation that should be passed, and not to do so is an outrage. Number two, there should be a federal cap on how much interest credit card companies can charge. The cap should be a percentage above the prime rate. They should be able to charge no more than 10% interest over the prime rate. That's plenty of money for great big fat profits for these companies, and everything else above it is usury. Why, in an election campaign that is starting a year in advance for the presidency of the United States, there is not one single presidential candidate in either party addressing this issue, which is at the heart of every American's personal economic well-being. You would think that there are zillions and millions of votes to be had by dealing with this outrageous situation. And yet none of these candidates, not Obama, not Giuliani, not McCain, not Hillary Clinton, not even John Edwards, not any of them have dared to address this issue. And you may well ask why. And the answer, of course, is money, campaign money. Instead of addressing this outrage, what Congress did by an overwhelming majority last year was pass new bankruptcy laws, making it that much more difficult for people to bankrupt themselves out of this mess. Legislation heavily supported and financed by, guess who? The credit card companies and the banking industry. So I call upon everyone running for President of the United States now, and indeed everybody running for Congress or the Senate, to take a stand on this issue and explain why they're not doing a damn thing about it. It's a foolproof campaign platform for any presidential candidate to stand upon, for any congressional candidate to stand upon. Or you may lose some campaign contributions, but after all, those contributions are donated to you so that you can pay for votes or campaigns to get your votes one way or another. And what you will lose in terms of campaign contributions by these people, you will gain in the popular vote and certain election. Stand up on your hind legs and stand up for the economic well-being of the American people.